Now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting-edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com, covering the Houston Texans for rattleandhumsports.com. It's Jared Huntley. How you doing, Jared?
I'm doing good, Bryan. How are you doing today?
Doing very well, and this is a really big ball game tonight for the Houston Texans on the big national stage. Monday Night Football tonight and then Sunday Night Football next week. And the nation gets to see what you've been seeing, which is a team that looks like it may be the best team in football right now. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think they're pretty close to it. They're certainly the best team in the AFC. A lot of people, a lot of detractors will point to their easy schedule so far. They haven't really had a big test, and really, even though it's the big stage tonight, obviously everybody knows by now the New York Jets are in a state of disarray. They are really struggling. It's going to be interesting to see, how they come out and play after getting thrashed by the 49ers last week. But it's hard for the Texans, I think, not to look past this game and look at the matchups coming up against Green Bay and Baltimore. But, tonight's their chance to kind of show the world that they're for real and that they're not going to let people down this season.
Well, I was going to ask, do you think this might be a trap game for the Texans because of all the turmoil and the talk about Sanchez, Tebow, Sanchez?
It certainly could be. I think if you were to ask like John McClain from the Houston Chronicle, I think I saw his prediction for the score was 23-17, and that got a bunch of the fans a little bit riled up, because I think everybody's kind of expecting the Texans to just destroy the Jets, much like the 49ers did last week. But, the Jets, if they paid attention to last week's game in any of the film, they'll see a weakness in the Texans' defense, and that's the run defense up the middle. And the Jets really need to get their run game going. Sean Green has been just awful this season, and it's not all his fault. The offensive line hasn't done a good job blocking for him, but, the Jets are averaging 3.2 yards a carry. They really need to get focused running the ball up the middle, and I would not be surprised if we see a heavy dose of Tim Tebow and the Wildcat tonight to really try to take the time of possession game away from the Texans.
Now, the Rex Ryan defenses are supposed to be, super run-stopping, awesome pressure-type defenses. It hadn't been that way, and the 49ers put up 245 yards rushing on them last week. How do you expect the Texans' offense will do against them tonight?
Well, I think if you got Arian Foster on your fantasy football team, you got to be pretty excited tonight. I still haven't heard word on whether or not Ben Tate's going to be ready to go, but if not, I think Justin Forsett will step in just fine to be able to help spell Arian Foster. But the Texans, for all the talk they get about having such an outstanding running game, really they haven't been that good and that consistent this season so far. 3.7 yards per carry as a team. Foster's only averaging 3.6 yards per carry last week against the Titans, and heading into last week, the Titans had the 28th ranked rush defense in the NFL, and the Texans had a hard time moving the ball against them. But nonetheless, the Jets defense isn't what it used to be, and now without Jarrell Revis, it's going to be a tough go for them. They just don't have the coverage options. They can't get pressure on the quarterback. Matt Schaub's going to have all day. I believe the Jets only have 3 sacks on the season, and the Houston Texans have only allowed 3 sacks on the season. If Schaub's got that much time to throw, it's going to be a long day for the Jets defense.
And the other thing about it is, again, all the attention tonight, in the broadcast is going to be on the drama going on with the Jets and their quarterback situation. But Matt Schaub goes about his job quietly, and he's probably, if not the most efficient quarterback in the NFL, he's in the top 5, but you never hear anyone talking about him in elite status. Is this his opportunity to have a breakout game and get some national attention tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if Matt Schaub will ever be considered an elite quarterback. The Houston Texans are the true definition of a real football team. There's no one guy, that's the stud, the standout that kind of carries the team. This team works together. They're strong in every facet of the game. Great quarterback play, obviously, from Matt Schaub, and he just doesn't make mistakes. He runs this offense masterfully. He makes all the right decisions. He goes through his reads real well. He's able to, read coverages and make the right choices, and it's just he's been a real effective quarterback for the Texans for a long time now, and I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for it. But I think you're going to start to see the Texans get some recognition, and we've already started to see that. That people are around the leagues, they're starting to widely be recognized as one of the best, if not the best, team in the NFL.
tell you one thing, he's one of the toughest guys I've ever seen after the licks he's taken.
Tell you what, and it's funny because just a couple of years ago he was getting knocked for being soft. He was people said, well, Schaub always gets injured, and he's not dependable, and he's an injury risk, and all of a sudden now everybody says, oh, Matt Schaub's one of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL, and it just goes to show that I think a couple of those injuries earlier in his career were just unfortunate. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but after that lick he took from Joe Mays a couple weeks ago, and coming right back into the ball game and asking, screaming for his helmet, you had to be impressed with that.
Absolutely. Now, what about their defense against the Jets' non-existent offense?
Well, tell you what, it's going to be tough because the Texans' defense they present problems for any offense because they're able to get pressure on the quarterback with just their front four. And the Texans don't have to rush more than 5 guys to get pressure on the quarterback, and their secondary has just been outstanding this season. The Texans are second in the NFL in pass defense. They're allowing just 6.0 yards per attempt to opposing quarterbacks. J.J. Watt you'll probably see him lined up over the Jets' right tackle, Austin Howard, who has very, very minimal NFL experience, and it's going to be a long night for Austin Howard. He's going to get introduced to Mr. J.J. Watt in a hurry tonight. And also the Jets, the wide receiving core, gosh, they're just depleted. Their go-to guy tonight is Jeremy Curley. So that's going to be tough for those receivers to get any separation from the Texans secondary. Like I said, I really think the Jets' best chance is to get that running game going, and if that means getting Tim Tebow in the game, then that might be their best option. But Sean Green has been awful this year. I ran across a stat the other day. Sean Green has forced only 1 missed tackle in 4 games this season. I mean, wow. He's just a shade above a stationary tackling dummy this season. I mean, it's real bad. But the Jets need to either figure out a way to get him motivated or get Bilal Powell the ball more and get Tim Tebow running that Wildcat to get the run game going up the middle.
What do you figure the score is tonight?
Well, it's tough to say, but if you read my article, my game preview, if the Texans play the way they should and they continue to win the turnover battle, they're +7 in turnover differential this year. I think the Texans come out on top 31-13. I just don't see any way the Jets are able to put up any points or sustain any drives against this defense.
All right, Jared, good stuff. We appreciate it. We always enjoy reading your stuff on Rattle and Hum Sports covering the Texans, and we thank you very much for coming on today, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bryan. I really appreciate it.
Good talking to you. Jared Huntley from rattleandhumsports.com on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM.